Welcome to another exciting adventure of Radio Free Decipher.
I'm excited.
This is Kyle, and with me always is Evan.
Hey.
And, well, I guess not always, but most of the time. Hey, I got to tell you, everybody out there, I've been working on the song.
Oh, yeah, the song you promised. As it turns out, that was not just, humor, that he actually needs to write a song.
And I'm working on it, and I've got some fun stuff going, but it's going to be a little bit while longer. I want to get some lyrics in there.
It's very techno.
Yeah, it's very techno.
So by lyrics, you mean you're going to go find some sci-fi movie and lift a line of dialogue out of it?
Maybe there'll be a line from Hack, and a line from Rings, and a line from Trek,
those of you who listen,
Beyblade.
I was going to say, those of you who listen to Strong Bad or watch Strong Bad emails
they were making fun
right
of
now.
the song the other day.
They were, yes,
my song, and they were singing Strong Bad lyrics.
Yes. Anyway,
give us some. Riff a couple.
Just go to homestarrunner.com. I can't believe I'm plugging somebody else's website here, but it's funny.
Yeah,
and they don't sell cards, so what do I care?
That's right.
Anyway,
today is a Treklicious
mostly
episode
Trek.
of RFD 10th anniversary.
Yes, because we've announced the 10th anniversary collection this week, and there's a special message board set up that is replete with reminiscing about 10 years of Star Trek.
I think we're going to be doing a little bit of reminiscing here as well. But before we get to that, let me quick get some business out of the way, which would be Distortion released this past Wednesday.
Very, very cool. There's some hot trading going on around the office.
I know.
Too.
Chuck needs everybody give me your nukes.
Yeah.
And other people. There's quite a few people like everybody give me your Marlows.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some fun trading going on, so it's been pretty fun.
Uh-huh.
And I got to play a lot of Distortion while I was out on the road, so I'm very familiar with the set by now.
Uh-huh.
And so it's good, and we're having a fun time with it. So
cool. All right.
As well, speaking of .hack, the very first PSQ not being run by Decipher.
Okay.
There was a PSQ for .hack at SoCal Gen Con. The very first one being run out there, not by Decipher, is being run this weekend at Outpost 2000 and Beyond, Jeff Prentice's store up in Milwaukee. I'm sorry, not Milwaukee. Minneapolis. Just north of Minneapolis, up in Brooklyn Park. So for those of you hack players, they have a huge community of players up there in Minnesota. So a lot of really good players. So go check it out if you have the means.
Good times.
So any other news that we can talk about? I saw you playing a lot of games today. Like you were working really hard playing Lord of the Rings online games.
I was. I sure was. I'm just trying to,
immerse.
Immerse myself, futz around with the system, because I haven't used the online system yet. I wasn't part of the beta test for that, so struggling my way through, learning how everything is laid out there.
And what's your record so far?
0-2.
0-2.
So to the two of you who are out there, what's really sad about it is that because I'm a Decipher employee, now first of all, I have to thank the nice folks at Worlds Apart for getting me set up, but they have also flagged me with this little Nazgul icon that points out to everybody that I am in fact a Decipher employee. Now, the two people that crushed me utterly so far either didn't notice or chose not to say anything, or perhaps I was so distracted trying to figure out what I was doing that I missed something that they typed in the chat window. In any case, they weren't making a big deal out of my Decipherdom, but I'm just waiting for somebody to come and, feel like they have an accomplishment in beating me, and no, you don't. I hate to burst your bubble.
Well, I also just want to say that, Evan is making it sound here like he's, having a hard time with the Worlds Apart system and online interface. That's not necessarily the case. He just sucks at Rings. Yeah,
well, it's a combination of things. I don't know the cards that well, and this is the very first time I've been playing online. It's actually, I'm actually and truly impressed that it works at all. That you're able to have the computer enforce all the rules, and I mean, I knew that this was what it did, but it's still impressive to do it. It's really, really cool.
Oh, I guess I can't play that like that.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm 0-2 so far. Who knows? By the time that people hear this, I may be 0-4 or 0-5. We'll see.
So let's talk about Trek, Evan.
Yes,
everybody out there. Well, first of all, 10th anniversary this year, November,
and
we got a bunch of things planned for this year.
The biggest thing that is on deck right now, so to speak, is the 10th anniversary collection. It's a special set of 18 foil cards that are 9 commanders with their matching ships, and we've mentioned that Jean-Luc Picard and the Enterprise D is one of them, hence why you did not see them in Necessary Evil. They were rather a conspicuous absence for those who were perusing the list. We've shown the Baraka,
which is the sail ship
thingy. Yep, the sail ship. Very, very cool ship. Made a little more cool when you get Benjamin Sisko, the captain, that we have not revealed yet.
Bum, bum, bum.
But, yeah, cool stuff.
That reminds me. Sorry to dig it.
No, go right ahead.
Now, but I got to find a Wilhelm scream to put in the song.
Oh, okay. I'll help you hunt that down.
All right.
What made you think of that just there?
I don't know, my bum, 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 maybe?
Yeah.
Anyways, I digress, and I apologize.
No, that's fine. Digress away. Actually, the Baraka was a card that was designed for Necessary Evil, and then the 10th anniversary collection came into being, and we pushed it out and decided to design a Sisko to go with it. It had originally just gonna be the Baraka.
Cool.
And there's a few cards like that ended up in the collection where we were planning to do one, but not necessarily the other, and then we expanded out on it. So you will see several ties to Necessary Evil in the collection and so forth.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what's going on there.
Okay. Now, tell me a little bit about your background with Star Trek and how Star Trek CCG bought your big screen TV.
Well, this kind of relates to Chuck's story about how Star Trek bought his house.
Right.
And basically, it's our way of saying thank you so much for supporting Decipher through your love of this game, because it employs us all. Yeah. But I have a background.
Mott the Barber.
Yeah. Well, it goes back even farther than that. I actually was with the game not as early as Chuck, who was there before it was ever published, but I was there from the very beginning. I worked at a retail store that sold the cards. It was a software, etc. retailer. They have all become Babbage's now and GameStops and other things, but at the time, software, etc. And the manager and I were friends and both Star Trek fans, and we bought the whole box that came in. It was just one box of the limited. And we split it in half and opened them all.
Wow.
And I got the Jean-Luc and the Riker out of that box.
Wow. He got the short end of that stick.
Yeah, pretty much.
Unless he got the data.
I don't know. But if he got the data... Are you okay there, champ?
Yeah.
That crashing thud that I was going to edit out until we made such a big deal out of it was Kyle hitting his knee on the table.
There's a tear in my eye.
Yeah, he is. Ouch. Yeah, he's really got a look of pain on his face. Anyway, from that first bunch of cards, we hit a point where we had to have the whole black border set, both of us, and black border cards became increasingly harder and harder to get. We reached a point where we would get some phone call from some friend that would call us and say, like, I found this place up in Arvada. They've got one box, $7 a pack. And we'd be like, buy them all.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, we had it bad. I ended up with, at one point I had 8 black border Jean-Luc Picards, but I ended up trading them all away in the process of trying to finish that full set.
Wow.
I also remember the worst trade I made, not really knowing the value of a Jean-Luc, not really knowing that they were all equally rare. I traded a Jean-Luc Picard for a Veranti Disruptor.
Awesome.
Yeah. Particularly when you consider when it came around time for me to finish the Black Border set, I traded Jean-Luc for the last 3 cards I needed, one of which was Geordi and 2 other rares. So,
wow.
God, what a bad trade.
It happened.
Yeah.
So then you started playing.
Yep, kept playing. We had to continually come up with strange formats to keep ourselves busy in the year it took before Alternate Universe came out. We were playing common-only games for a while.
I've got stories about weird formats and stuff.
We were playing games with, like, 1-card limits. We expanded the deck size to 70 and then 75 cards. You know, anything just to shake it up and give us a little variety as we were waiting for expansions to come out. We did the same thing again after Alternate Universe came out, trying to find ways to shake up the environment. We reached a point where we thought we'd played the set out, so then we forced ourselves to do strange things with the cards. Like I built a deck that used targs. I loaded my deck with targs at the same time that my friend Patrick, the friend I mentioned earlier, he plays a deck loaded with Eyes in the Dark just to try and use it. And Eyes in the Dark randomly selects an opponent's card to take on their, I can't remember if it's skills or attributes or what exactly. It's a limited use card.
Sure.
He decided to play that deck the same time I decided to play the Targ deck. He played 4 Eyes in the Dark in the course of the game and 3 times picked a Targ. So it was like especially worthless just because of these 2 decks that we had happened to choose to use against each other. Anyway, I hope I'm not boring everyone out there, but, you know...
Well, let's get to 97.
Let's speed up. Yeah, 97, the World Championship. Which
you won where? You won which regional?
I won
Origin?
The Kansas City regional that year. Yeah, Kansas City, which was, I think,
this was back
open.
when Decipher was doing regionals. And the year that Star Trek did regionals was 97.
Yes.
And you could only play in regionals within your region.
Yes, but then there were 5 opens.
There were opens,
and Kansas
City
was
anybody
open.
could play in an open.
Right, and we had, this was my first time that I met a few of the really well-known people associated with the game. I met Roxanne Barber for the first time at that Kansas City event. She, of course,
she's from Vancouver, too.
Yeah, she came down to Kansas City, very nice, and went on to find out what a great store she was running up there and how dedicated she was to the game. But anyway, yeah, I played there. Jason Winter, Q at the time, had come out to judge the event.
Sure.
I have photos from winning that event. It was a good time. And then went on to Las Vegas, where I did pretty well on day 1 and lost every game out of 5 games on day 2. And
ouch.
And ouch, but I had a good time doing it.
Sure.
It was fun.
But you made day 2, which was.
But I made
there were
day
only
2.
2 days of the World Championships then.
Yeah, I was very happy. So then we rolled around to 98, and the World Championship was held out here in Norfolk at the the Cavalier. The Cavalier. I'm trying to remember what event I qualified at that year. It was Origins, I believe. Yeah, that was the Borg deck.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, Brad helped me with that one. We had traded back and forth. I was determined to do a Mission Specialist deck because the original concept behind Mission Specialist was something that I had fed to Bill Martinson and Tim Ellington as a playtester. I had said, you really should do something that makes use of all these crappy one-skilled people that are just floating about. How about, we pretend that they're something special, and I'm just going to call them Mission Specialists, but you'll think of something better. And they're worth 5 points when you use their skill to solve a mission. They thought that was pretty good. And then they had come up with downloading for First Contact and added that on there, and that was all pretty good. And then, when we all went to the 97 World Championship, just about all the playtesters were at that event, and none of us really noticed that Captain's Order had been slipped on there at the last minute. Just, boy, those Mission Specialists really stink. We ought to make this Mission Specialist card a Captain's Order, and that just blew the whole thing apart. But so yeah, my idea became one of the most truly broken cards in that period of
history.
Yeah,
that and Vic.
I'm proud. So Vic is a whole other story. But anyway, so I was determined to build a Mission Specialist deck, and I was playtesting it with Brad, who had come to help me out, and he whips out this Borg deck that's just evil, and I said, "Oh, this is great, but I think it'd be even better if you did it Gamma Quadrant." And then I was like, "I don't want to steal your idea too much, but do you mind if I, take this just for fun?" He's like, "Sure." So I took it to Origin, still planning to use my Borg deck to gunsling and the Mission Specialist deck to play in the event. And the very first day there, I just play a pickup game on the booth with Scott Ruskowski, crush him with this Borg deck, and he just has the most forlorn look on his face afterwards. He's just like, "I don't know how you would beat that." and Patrick had traveled with me to the event. He says that you have to play the Borg deck. This is a sign. So I did, and I won. So thanks, everyone, for the good advice.
So you went to the
and Worlds. I was able to, and then I was able to return the favor at the Worlds for Brad. We both decided to stick with that board deck, and after day one, or perhaps going into day one, I gave Brad the idea. Everybody at that point knew that I would play Borg because of what I had won with and all these articles I was writing trying to trumpet the Borg as a viable affiliation. So
you really became known as the Borg guy.
Yeah, well, I guess felt an obligation as one of the people that play tested them and felt they really did work to like go out there and prove it when a lot of people were saying that they wouldn't. So it was a foregone conclusion that I was Borg, and nothing I could do would ever convince somebody otherwise. But Brad maybe could pull off a bluff of some kind. So I think I mentioned to him that he should try and do a mission selection that looked Bajoran and then bait and switch at the last minute. And I suggested he throw in a Bajoran-fed treaty, which you can seed, and anyway, it gets him out of having the opponent self-seed against him, which makes it really easy to do this cheesy Borg thing that we were doing. And he did much better than I did on day two, because I think he ended up placing around 7th or 8th, and I, again, lost all 4 games of 4 games on day 2.
So at this point, you're 0-9 in day 2
yes,
of the
I'm
World Championships.
0-9 on final day of competition at the World Championships. And the best part about this particular, the second year that I went winless on the final day, was that I won the coveted 121st place trophy.
There was a misprint on the trophy.
Yes, there was a misprint on the trophy. The 12th place trophy had an extra 1. So it didn't even say 121st, not ST. It was TH, though.
Yeah,
it was
121st.
The 121st place trophy, which is on my desk upstairs right now. Anyway, so
that's great.
Again, I hope that this is entertaining to people, but
and it was it isn't, but we'll move on.
All right, good.
So after that, you basically play tested for about another year, and then got hired.
In the total, I play tested for about 2 years, and then Jason Winter had left, and they decided that they needed a new rules guru in house, and they actually went with Kathy doing it remotely for a while, and then felt that was a position that needed to be in house, and also that another person needed to be part of the marketing team.
So you got hired. That's right. You got hired in the marketing team.
Yes, I did.
And it wasn't until Austin Powers that got you into the development team.
That was sort of it. That was sort of a bridging of the gaps. There was a pretty high workload at that time on the TCG design and development department, and so work spilled over, and I ended up picking up the slack there for whatever reason, and ended up being a pretty big force in the design of Austin Powers. And after that, I started spending like half my time working for marketing, and then the other half working on Trouble with Tribbles and stuff like that.
And then you just eventually moved over.
And Mirror Mirror was my first set full time as of the trading card studio, and there you go. So
that is the history.
Yeah, I guess that means about half the cards in the Star Trek universe I was a designer on.
Well, I mean, you were testing as early as Borg.
Yeah, I was playtesting as First Contact. So going back.
First Contact. So that means only really 3 sets that you didn't have a hand in.
3 sets I had nothing to do with, and then everything from First Contact to Blaze of Glory was designed with me as a playtester and not as a designer or a developer. And then everything subsequent I've had a hand in the design of. So the buck stops here. The blame goes here.
The blame goes there, except for Vic.
Except for Vic.
But we won't go into that.
So there you go.
That is a long and
painful, boring history.
Painful history of your involvement with Trek. So in the near future, you'll get mine.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going to tell us your circular space line story?
In the future.
Okay.
In the future.
All right. Well, we've got a lot of year to cover here in this 10th anniversary, so tune in to a future RFD for that story.
And how I ripped off Todd Soper. How I ripped off Todd Soper's 97 deck to win some locals.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, we will leave you with that. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend.